How's everybody doing tonight? Wait a little bit, let a few people fall in. Let's see. Okay. Yep. Just make sure I got the right slideshow up. Struggle streaming already. Let me see if I started the right one this time. Me and Restream ain't getting along. Let's see. Let me bring up. Give me one in the chat if you can hear me. Give me one in the chat. Let's see. Boom, boom. I can't even figure out where I'm at. I'll figure it out later. See if any. Give me one in the chat if you can hear me. Let's see. How are you doing? Glad you can join me. Now I can't find my oh, shoot. I can't see my mouse done disappeared. Let me see if I can find it. We'll do all right today. Grand B Optimist, glad you can join me. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let me see what's going on with my mouse. It's going to be one of those days, one of those nights. If you got any questions, tech, or cybersecurity, drop them in the chat. We're going to talk about NIST 800-53, specifically the AC security family today. I'm going to delve a little deeper into there. Yeah, man, I'm trying to get the hang of this new restream. I think I'm figuring it out, but we'll see. What I got pinned? Oh, let me see. I got things pinned up in there. What is going on with my mouse today? But we're gonna figure it out. Once again, if you got any questions, Cyber from Fire, glad you can join me. Got any questions, tech or cybersecurity, drop them in the chat. We're going to get started. Finally getting over my little cold, so I'm feeling a little better today. So we'll see what's going on. So once again, we're talking about NIST 800-53. We're going to delve into the family. We talked about this. It's Information Systems, National Institute of Standards and Technology. The non-regulatory agency over this, the United States Department of Commerce. I always mess that up. Of course, it was FISMA, Federal Information Security Modernization Act of 2014. Here's the 20 security families. NIST 800-53R5. So we're going to talk about access control. The first one in the first box. So that's what we're going to dig into today. And part of the access control, you can see right here, these are the subfamilies. I put slides for all of them, but we're not going through all of them. But if you want me to delve into something specific you have an interest in, just let me know. I'll probably go through the first 6 or 7 and kind of drill down into it. But once again, we're talking about the access control family. The part of that, the access one is going to be policies and procedure. for any security family. When you see -1, that's definitely going to be policy and procedures. Then AC2 is account management. 3 is access enforcement. This is one of the larger ones too, by the way. Separation of duties, least privileges, unsuccessful log-on attempts, system use notifications, previous log-on notifications, concurrent session control, device locks, session termination, permitted action without identification or authorization. Usually we don't do that one. Security and privacy attributes. This is a big one. Remote access, wireless access, access control for mobile devices. So that's a big one. Now everybody can get Teams on their phones, different apps on their phones. I like actually blocking those, to be honest, because most people don't have security really over their phones. Their kids play on their phones. They're downloading all kind of different apps. I know they have MDMs, mobile device managements, where that lets you separate corporate from your personal, but still for me that's a big security risk. Use of external information, information sharing, publicly accessible content, data mining protection, access control, decisions, and reference monitors. So once again, access control is the security family, and all the ones you see there are subfamilies. So when you start delving into NIST contracts and CMCs and NIST 171, they all have subfamilies. So as you get into GRC and really risk assessments and those type of things, you need to understand the subfamilies because that's really what you're going to be doing your assessment on. Of course, you're going to do policies and procedures and account management. How are they doing AIM? How are they doing onboarding? How are they doing offboarding? Once again, we're going to touch on probably 4 or 5 of those. And if you got, once again, specific questions on any of the other ones, just let me know and we can delve into it a little more. So let's keep rolling. Once again, most people know this is what I do for a living. I've probably done this for 15 years. I do a lot of IRS Pups 1075, and that really sits on top of this, so they really go together. So, and now we're looking at access control of the subfamilies. Then you see AC2, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it breaks it down even further. So really, we're just going to talk about AC2 access management. But I just want to touch on sometimes the subfamilies has bigger breakdowns, right? An account management, automated system management, automated temporary and emergency account, disabling accounts, automated audit actions, inactivity logout, dynamic privilege accounts, privileged user accounts, right? And dynamic account management. So once again, we're just going to see where it's bold, the subfamily, that's where we're going to hit. I just wanted to show you that it delves down any deeper, right? When you start digging into these security families. And 2 over there, I want to bring this one up is, what security level are you at? You see at the top, it's got low, medium, and high, right? Usually high is life or death, right? Nuclear power plant stuff. I do moderate, which is IRS data, so that's moderate. So you see in the middle, those would be the security families that we would be looking at or doing assessment on. Right. Once again, the stuff in bold, the subfamilies, that's really what we're going to be looking at. So once again, you see low, medium, and high. So I just wanted to touch on all the families. You see a lot of these aren't even marked. So what these are is a lot of times compensating controls that you can use if you can't use something else. So AC4, you got processing domains, dynamic information flows, flow control of encrypted information, right? That's high. I'm super big on encrypted information, though, so I don't know why they made that high. I think the flow of it. The 2 in bold, you see there separation of duties, least privilege, unsuccessful logon attempt. Once I said here is just looking at the low, medium, high. And once again, the detailed 800-53 come in. When you do an assessment, you got to check all these controls. A lot of times when you do a small system, it could be 5,000 controls on that system that you have to do an assessment on. Let's see if there's any questions on that. Let's see, everybody's hanging out. Let me go back up. Look at that one more time. That low, medium, high, like I said, is a big deal because it's going to tell you before you do anything right. We're going to talk about the classification of data. Once you get your data classification, then you'll know what controls you're doing. And a lot of times people say, why would you do 800-53 on a small systems? I would just start doing the load checks. And if you see there, all those checks, it's really only 4 on that page you would do. Right? So maybe the first year we do lows. The second 2 years we might do moderate, right? Because it's a lot more checking. Then once we get established, once we get mature, then we'll start clicking off some of the highs. Why would you do high controls if you don't need them? Because if you get hacked, you want number one, you don't want to show that you're negligent, right? Meaning you did what you're supposed to, and due care is you doing extra stuff, right? What are you doing to secure it? So if you get hacked, you say we're a moderate system, but we were putting high checks on, right? That definitely shows you doing due care and you're not negligent, right? And 2 is hopefully those high checks will make it much harder for you to get hacked. So that's one couple reasons I like to do high checks. Of course, when I bring that up at work, they don't like that. So why? Because more checks is more money, more time, more things you gotta, do. But a lot of times, though, when you buy products, a lot of times those products are knocking those out, right? If you're doing Defender, threat modeling, if you're doing FireEye, Mandiant, Splunk, a lot of stuff is built in there. You just have to configure it, right? But that's still more work and more time, right? But I'd rather be more secure. So 2, once again, AC1, you looked at the baseline. It's all low, moderate, high, and it handles privacy. Then what we're going to start touching on, and I pull this out the slides and actually made them user-friendly, is supplemental guidance is their description of what you're doing. A lot of times when people ask me different questions, I usually just send them to the supplemental guidance. So we'll read a couple lines of this. Access control policy and procedures to address the control in the AC family that are implemented within the system organization. The risk management strategy is an important factor in establishing such policies and procedures. Policies and procedures contribute to security and privacy assurance. Therefore, it's important that security and privacy programs collaborate on development of access control policies and procedures, right? So that's just a snippet of it. But if you really want to get into super detail and the minutia of it, and I do this a lot, so I'm always reading those. I'm kind of weird. I try to read the full 700-800 pages at least once every other year, right? Because even though I'm familiar with it, new revisions point out new things and they change. And sometimes you read it a couple of times, you get a different understanding, or you talking to other people. A lot of times that brings it out. How do you leverage access control in a multi-cloud environment? That is an excellent question, and I'm gonna touch on that now. And I got some slides. I didn't do the multi-cloud. It depends on how you're using a multi-cloud. Some clients I know, they use multi-cloud where these clients are going to be in this cloud, right? And the clients actually control the users. We set them up, but they control them. But if you're actually talking about leveraging access to a multi-cloud environment, there's a number of ways to do that. So we're just going to touch on a couple ways. Most people take their Active Directory on-prem, they sync it up to Azure because they have their AFDS. Then if you're in AWS has their AWS connectors. So you take your own prem Active Directories. When you make a change, probably twice a day, you sync it up to your Azure, you sync it up to your AWS. That's one way to do it. A lot of people, a few people take it where your Azure and your Active Directory on-prem. So when you log on to your AFDS that syncs to your Active Directory, you get a ticket. You get a ticket. Then that ticket lets you go into AWS, right? So there's a couple ways you can do it where you're not actually logging in. You're doing federated Access control. The federation means once you get a ticket from Azure, that ticket says, okay, they've been authenticated. This is their conditional control. And with that ticket, I'll let you log into AWS because that ticket says you've been authenticated in Azure, and that's our one-stop shop. So let me know if that answers your question. There's probably 2 or 3 ways to actually handle multi-cloud. It depends on your maturity and what you're doing in which cloud. A lot of people just use AWS for development and run their apps, but they use Azure and AWS for their corporate apps. So once again, there's 2 or 3 ways. It's just a couple of examples of how you're doing it. Let me know if that answers your question. PBO running out of gas already. So let's get rolling. So that was AC1. Like I said, we probably go through 4 or 5 of these. Account management, this is the big one, kind of the question she asked. Define the document types of allowed and specifically prohibited for use within a system. Assign account managers. Assign organizationally defined prerequisites and criteria. And this is what she was talking about for your groups and your role membership. Specify authorized users of systems, group, role memberships, and authorization/privileges for each account is required. Example of a system account includes individual, shared, group systems, guests, anonymous, emergency, developer, and the part they didn't even touch on is multi-cloud, on-prem, hybrid, right? All of that's included in your account management. I'm actually thinking about doing a video on what she asked, which is the multi-cloud, and a couple ways of doing it. As an assessor or assessment, places I work, they had multi-cloud. When I was at the state, they had Azure and AWS. So how do we handle it? And from assessment, how do you assess what is the appropriate security for that particular client or that particular company, depending on what they want to do? It's complicated. I might have to I know a few cloud engineers. I might have to see if I can get them on to come in. I do assessments of them. I don't set them up. So I'm hoping to do a cloud boot camp so I can actually set them up so I can become more familiar with them. Yeah, they can become super complicated. And I think that's IBM is actually working on that, becoming a multi-cloud vendor, because I think Azure is trying to lock you in and AWS is trying to lock you in. So they're not trying to share. So I think IBM's new tactic was to help people with that federated login on multiple clouds and trying to make that easier. Like you said, it's complicated, like I said. Access enforcement. Enforce approved authorizations for logical access to information. System resources in accordance with applicable access control policies. Control policies, access between active entities or subjects. Users or process acting on behalf of others. Passive entities or objects, device, files, records, and domains in your organizational system. In addition to enforcing authorized access at the system level, recognizing the system host can host many applications and services in support of mission and business function. Right? So a lot of times you have applications that are handling multiple business functions. Now, people have APIs or they have services they're called, right? They're still linked. So you have to enforce access when you're working on a cloud vendor or you do API. Once again, a lot of people using their payroll system could be ADP. So how do you send information to ADP? How do you authorize yourself to ADP, right? To get your check, to look at your W-2, right? So all that's an access enforcement, right, from another entity or subject. This is a kind of different one. I got some slides on it. Information flow enforcement. Enforce approved authorization for controlling flow of information with the system. The information flow regulates where information can travel within the system between systems without regard to subsequent access to that information. Flow controls restriction include blocking external traffic that claims to be from within an organization, keeping export control information from being transmitted in the clear, And a lot of times this is done with firewalls. I think a lot of people read all that. You do a lot of what IPs are you letting in? If you're logging in from a certain IP address or a certain state with geolocation, externally, if you're not in the state we think you should be in, we could block you from logging in. Right. Most systems now, they have geolocation in there so they can control that blocking. What is up, Savage Scientist? How you doing, man? I ain't seen you in a while. I watched a couple of your videos. Everybody go subscribe to my man Savage Scientist. Definitely great programmer doing some good things on here. I definitely go check him out. I keep saying I'm a start programming again. I'm too old and too tired, but that's not my thing. But once again, I got some slides. Like I said, I'm probably go over 2 more of them. I'm not gonna go through all 25. If you got a specific question on one of the subfamilies for access control, we can definitely dive in. But I think a lot of people, when you talk about blocking external blocks, man, I feel you. What's up, Jim R? Glad you can join me. I just replied to your email. Yeah, me too, man. I've been kind of sick the last couple of weeks. I had a little cold, so I'm trying to get over it. But once again, talking about access enforcement. Facts, man. I've been studying for it, but every time I just got sick, yeah, we need to do something. I keep saying I'm gonna take it, man. I just been tired. But once again, here transferring information between organizations may require an agreement specifying. Yeah, usually you have an MOU, memorandum of understanding, so you can say what type of data you're going to be moving between each other. Enforcement includes prohibiting information traveling between connected systems, allowing access only, verifying written permissions from acceptable information from another security privacy domain. So I know. Congratulations on that, man. I know. It tore me up, though. I don't know if I'm getting a little older. But yeah, we're going to talk about some slides with the information flow enforcement. Once again, you could do that with firewalls. Of course, everybody knows I'm an AWS guy, so we're going to talk about security groups, Knuckles doing some control for that, and how you would set it up from a networking perspective. Once again, if you got any questions, drop them in the chat. So we're going to do a couple more. And like I said, I'm going to kind of skip to the end unless you got something. Separation of duties, identifying document, define system access authorization, support for separation of duties. Separation of duties address the potential for abuse of authorized privileges, help to reduce the risk of activity without collusion, separation of duties, including dividing a mission. So a lot of times, programmers, a lot of times you don't let programmers get into production. Unlike my man said, he said he has DevSecOps. So a lot of times DevSecOps, you give them viewing production because they're checking the security of the operations. So who you let in production? A lot of times your development staff, they want to get in production. They're not, because now we're doing automated builds, automated testing. So you should better hit a button, put it in production. So a lot of times that cut down your collusion and programmers putting backdoors in the apps and trying to get to them. Least privileges, right? Employ the principle of least privileges, allowing only authorized access for users to process, acting on behalf of the user and the necessary to accomplish their assigned goals, right? So separation of duties is you're a programmer. The least privileges, you're a programmer on a certain project, right? So you might not need to be able to get to these tables in these other projects, or you might not be able to put code in this other repository because least privileges, even though you're a developer, you're only on certain projects, right? So you shouldn't be able to commit to other projects and other repos, right? So that's where the least privileges versus the separation of duties comes into control. This is one common you look on there. Unsuccessful login attempts. Enforce a limit of consecutive invalid login attempts by using a user during a certain time period or a certain number, and automatically lock the account or node, or lock the account or node until released by administrator, or delay the next login attempt. A lot of times, two people do it is first time you log in, you got to wait a minute. The next time 4 minutes and they start doubling to 8. Then if you lock out 10 times, you gotta wait like 5 hours, right? But I'm old school. DOD, if you do 3 log on attempts and they're invalid, we lock you out. You got to call the help desk, right? So a lot of times too now, once you lock yourself out, you could call and right there ask you for your captcha, or they ask you those questions, those security questions, and if you answer the questions right, they'll let you back in. So there's a couple ways to do it, but really that's going to stop a brute force attack. Right? Somebody just says, okay, I know these passwords. I'm gonna try 1,000 in a minute, right? They try that, you either lock out or you make them wait, right? And after so many times, you should alert your security team because that could be a brute force attempt attacking, right? System user notification, display a banner to the user before granting access to the system that provides privacy, security notice, laws, and how long you're going to be in jail, right? Especially if it's a federal system. So those are common. Previous logon notification, notify the user upon successful login to the system, the date and time. So if you come on and you were like, well, I didn't log on Sunday, but they saying that's my last logon attempt, right? That could be somebody that got into your account or tried to get into your account or something. So those are things you see those, but among your assessments, that's why they have those on there. Let's see. See my man trying to. Facts, man. That's the thing, man. One of my homies is an OCP. I need to get him to come on my show. He did the one where you had 48 hours to catch so many flags and hack a system, and you got to write it up. I think that's the one. Now that's the move to pay for it, man. Good luck, man. I've been talking about taking it for 2 years, man. And two, I got a decent job. I'm remote, so I'm like, do I really want to put myself through that? I don't know. Facts. Savvy Scientist had a couple cool videos. Nice. Your admin developer. That's cool. I think ain't you. That's a good point. I didn't think of. Yeah, it does 5 years. I got 15, but I still got to take it. No, it's facts on that though. Let's see, go over a couple more, then we'll go over some slides and kind of talk about the rubber meeting the road when you talk about these checks from an assessment standpoint. Let's go over one more. Now to get us to 10. Okay, there it is, 10. Congruent session control. Limit the numbers of concurrent sessions. Organization may define the maximum number of congruent sessions for system accounts globally by account type or by account. For example, organization may limit the number of sessions for a system administrator or other individuals. A lot of times people were stealing people's sessions. So if you limit sessions, if somebody stole your session, it wouldn't let them in. So I think that's why a lot of people were doing it. Depending on certain users. Last time I looked, some users, you only got 2 sessions. So that's where those came in. Device lock, prevent further access, initiate a device lock of inactivity, requiring the user to initiate a device lock before leaving the system unattended. Retain the device lock until the user really stops. And a lot of people, you see those when you leave your system for 15 minutes, your screensaver lock, right? So that's the usual one you specifically see on there. So here, let's roll back up real quick. We're gonna roll to the bottom. I'm gonna show this real quick. Oh, I think I killed it. I'll get my big face off of there. So let's look at all the individual access families real quick. Okay. So we just went over 10 of those. You see those policies, procedures, account management, access information, information flow, separation of duties, least privilege. So we went to device lock. So you see those other 10 there. We're not going to talk about those, but you want to delve into any of those, just let me know and I can jump to the slide. I just don't want to make it super dry when you can just go read it. Like I said, a lot of times people call and ask me certain things when they're doing assessment. Remote access, what's my thought? How would you test it? What are you looking for, right? Remote access, a lot of times, you're looking for MFA. You're looking for 14 characters or more if you DOD. You talking about Okta. You talking about those big ones where they adding an extra level of security. You talking about once again using the MFA. So you usually using network authenticator, Cisco Duo. I probably got 4 or 5 on my phone. Cisco Duo. So all of those are what's part of the MFA. Then two, part of your remote access is, are you checking the health of your PC? Is your software up to date? Do you have virus protection? Did a hacker cut off your virus scanning? Check the health of your machine. Then two is there a lot of people starting to do that remote. They have geolocation in the remote device. So if I'm not in Indiana, I can't log on unless I told my boss I was going out of state, right? A lot of people going over to Mexico working because it's cheaper, but they're supposed to be in the United States. So a lot of times remote access, and those are some of the checks that are coming out. So let me see if there's any questions on that. So those are some of the things from remote access people ping me and ask me about. Said my man Jim, I've been busy with my mics. Facts. So I don't know how to find time. But I always good. Just check out the replay. I understand, man, with the honeydew list. Facts. I'm gonna drop the link in a minute. I was studying for the OCP. I have to get my pen test plug. The life happened. I just didn't feel like going at it alone. Nah, facts on that, man. Facts on that. Oh, so yeah, you good, Optimist. You got your 5 years. You could probably get them all on that. Yep. So let's look at some of the rubber meets the road slides I got in there. Mm-hmm. So once again, if you want to delve down into any more of those particular access control subfamilies, I just didn't want to get too in depth. So you see right there, that's a architecture diagram. Everybody knows I'm an AWS Amazon guy. So 2AC forwards, information flow control. So here you see in the yellow, those could be NACs or security groups. Those are just software firewall. So security groups coming from the top there, that's AWS Shield, and it looks like around 53. So coming through there, if that's a web app, I'm only gonna let in 443 and 80, right? Coming from the internet. So we're controlling our flow, like we said, by using the firewall. Then once you get there, once you spin up Apache and you go to maybe Tomcat, that's probably gonna be an 8080. So only thing I'm letting get to my application server is going to be 8080. Then going to the database, right? Oracle's 1523. I forgot what SQL Server is, but you can look those standard ports up and see what's going on with those, right? So that's kind of how you control your information flow, and that's how you would test it. Then two is each one of those firewalls should be open, should be a request from the developer or the company or MOU to the company we're going to. Why did we open up this firewall in this port? There should be a ticket saying why we opened it. It was approved, and this is why we're doing it, right? So that's part of that. So everybody give me like a couple minutes. I'll be right back. I am back. My apologies. Whew. I am back. My apologies. Let's keep rolling. So that was the access flow coming from 4. So let's keep rolling. This is from AWS's config. So AC2, we saw that. So once again, the access manager user's role and group does not have inline proc. So these were the checks you would use for AIM, right? Which you see right there, the access account manager. And specifically the sub 1 is how would you do automated system account management? Right. So once again, where do you get those checks and how do you scan your environment to make sure you're NIST compliant on those, right? So just kind of digging into that. This is Stigs. A lot of people hate Stigs. So Stigs is, I did it for Windows 2022, which is the new. Once again, you see it at the bottom, AC24, which was once again access. You saw it on a Windows server must be configured to audit, log on, and log off. Right. So if we need to do forensics or check on a few things, this is the Windows settings we would do on their server. It tells you right there to check it. And 2 is, oh, let me go back to there. Which one was that? Here, log on, log out. If you go to fix it, it tells you where to go set it to make sure it's set on to do the logging. Right. So that's the reason. 2 is the second one. Once again, it's the same thing as Windows 2022. It was the AC3 check down there. Windows Server local volumes must be used as a format that supports NTFS. The ability to set access permission and auditing is critical to maintain the security. You see in there, I have it highlighted as AC3. AC7, Windows, we talked about that. The account lock duration must be configured to 15 minutes or greater. The account lockout feature were enabled to prevent brute force attacks on the server. The parameter specifies the period of time that account will remain locked after the specified number, right? So once you lock it 3 times or 10 times, it's going to stay locked for 15 minutes, right? We did 0, right? 0 made you call the help desk, right? They didn't like that because our tickets went up seriously 4,000% when we first said it. So I just want to show you rubber hits the road when you set these settings on the server. Once again, they do roll up to those assessment checks in NIST, right? A lot of times when you talk about NIST, it seems like, oh, it's 30,000 feet. What does it mean when you set those checks? This check tells you what it's mean on the AC7, which was talking about log out on there. So I just kind of want to show a couple of those checks in there. Let's see, I dropped the link out. Once again, I just wanted to touch on a few of these. Once again, delve into the actual security families, kind of roll the sleeves up and get a little dirty actually in the security families and how those actually work when you actually, once again, when the rubber meets the road and you're actually putting those checks in and you telling your system admins or your cloud engineers, shout out to our question up there when you're talking about multi-cloud, those are the checks you telling them to put in and what they actually mean. There's a link if anybody wants to come up. Like I said, I just want to touch on something a little today. Once again, a lot of people start asking me about the individual security families. Once again, we just touched on a little bit on access control. We actually delved into the first AC12. And once again, those are easy to look at. You saw the discussion. I just kind of put those on the actual slides and to see what's happening. Once again, if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat or you can come up. Shout out if anybody want to come up. I'm an easy guy. So there's the actual link once again. So if you want to come up, go subscribe to my man, Savage Scientist. Drop your channel in there, Savage Scientist. Glad Jim Mark could join us live again for a little bit. I know the honeydew list be holding him down a little bit. Shout out to the missus. Nah, that's all good though. But once again, we just hit those. I wanted to hit those tonight. Once again, policies, procedure, account management, and 2, hopefully, in the future, we actually start doing labs that are actually roll into there. This young guy called me today and was talking about IAM, access, identity access and management, right? So we talked about the account management. We talked about automating that for onboarding and offboarding, right? And how those two actually line up, right? So for the interview, AWS has Cloud Formation, Terraform. So what are those? Those are scripting languages. So when I come on as a security manager, I get access to this organizational unit in AWS, this S3 bucket. In Azure, I get, access to this SharePoint. I get access to these things from my team, right? You're not manually going there and doing it manually, right? You set that up for automation. So part of that automation, and we looked at some of those subfamilies. We were talking about automation, right? Account management. I think account management 2.1 was automated onboarding, automated offboarding, right? So we actually talked a little bit about that to get him ready for an interview, to get him ready. Hopefully he gets the job. So I try to talk to, a couple people usually reach out to me every other week. So I usually give somebody 15 minutes to chat. If you reached out, I have to apologize. I was down for about 2 weeks, man. I don't know what's going on with me. I was trying to work out too much. That wasn't good for me. Shout out to RR Squared. I'm glad you can join me. Definitely the GRC Mafia family. I will be available in about 2 hours working on a research crap. That's cool. I'll be asleep by then. Yeah, it's 10 here, so I'll be asleep. I got to finish this assessment tomorrow. So, yep, everybody go check out my man, do some good stuff in here. So I definitely be on this channel. Definitely gonna be on mine. So definitely go check him out. Saying I hang out a little longer, see if anybody had any more questions. I kind of got this coughing spell going on. I'm gonna have to take a little NyQuil and go back to bed and hit at it in the morning. Tomorrow's hump day. I need it. I'm struggling. Facts. You on the West Coast. Facts. Yeah, the time difference. Facts. Me too, man. Shout out to Casual Economist. Definitely one of the day ones. Yeah, I thought we lost them. Now I'm just playing that. That YouTube sometimes kind of wear you down after a while, especially after they. Oh, you all good? I'm trying to get the hang of restream. They done changed it. Half the time I think I'm linking it to my YouTube, and it starts a whole nother YouTube. It starts notifying other people on different channels. So I got to figure out what's going on with that. I think I finally figured it out. So shout out to Restream, causing me problems. Got me struggle streaming. So, but once again, you see all the access controls, especially if you're in the GRC security assessment. Oh yeah, man. So I just been doing my Tuesdays 9, staying on my NIST game for a minute, because that's what I do in real life. So that helps me, make sure I'm on top of my game. And I like, getting that federal money is always good. Even though I work for clients getting federal money, they pay me with federal money. So yeah, Restream turned me up with their update, man. I think I'm getting the hang of it. Then I looked, I'm like, man, they created a whole new YouTube stream. I had one out there. I thought I was linking to it. So I need to work on my Restream game and take it up a notch. So that's kind of my goal for 2025 and get my monetization back. Me and B2B got kicked out. So he got his back. Go shout out to the young guy. So I looked at, I'm not that far behind. I think I got 3,600 hours, watch hours, and you need 4,000 within a calendar year. So if I think I went live 4 times and did one video a week on top of that, I can get 400 hours in a month real quick. But I think I'm gonna wait till 2025, just kind of restart. I mean, hell, 2025 really here. So that's kind of my play. So just start back on the grind. Like I said, I'm hoping to do more labbing, get back on my AWS lab and join it with my NIST stuff. Like again, on that account management, talk about, they call it a vending machine, do automated stuff, use it with cloud formation, use it with their step function so you can automatically, create different stuff on there. Oh wow. They said I was because I was cutting news articles in there, they said I wasn't adding enough. So I was I didn't call it plagiarizing, but I needed to add more value because I was using news articles. So that's what they said about me. I'm thinking I watch everybody use news articles on YouTube. Yeah, facts, facts. So once again, I get, is that to me or casual? Who's that to me or Savage? Savage, probably Savage, because yeah, you got 100 watch hours. Yeah, I looked today. I had 3675 or something. So I'm not far. So and that's one reason I make sure I go live at least once a week. And shout out to my audience; they're pretty cool. And usually I usually get about on a replay. I usually have 15 to 20 people show up. I talk for an hour, so a lot of times I get like 30 hours. Then I probably get another 20. So I could get 50 hours on one video of watch time. So yeah, so B2B did one. He was talking about getting laid off, and people love that. I think he got like, he said he got a crazy amount of hours. He got like 5,000 views. So it was some crazy amount of hours he got on one video. Shout out to him. Oh, me. Oh, yeah. I'm definitely gonna do more plan videos. I'm gonna do more AWS with NIST stuff. A lot of people been asking me to do a course. I just got to get some energy to do a course. The sad part, I was working on a course because I was going to do YouTube memberships. Then they demonetized me, so they kind of threw my course out. I had like 5 videos already made for a course. People want me to do a NIST 800 and talk about doing assessments. How do you scope? How do you, like we were talking about, how do you look at a Windows 2020 server? How do you take it from policies and procedures? We see it right there, account management. How do you, what was that one? They were talking about permission to information sharing file 21, right? You need an MOU, memorandum of understanding, right? With your file layouts. I'm sure a savage scientist does that all the time, right? What are you expecting as a developer and what you're going to send them? When you're going to send them? Is it batch? Is it pool? Right. So how are you doing it? So there's a couple ways to do that. What is BDP? BDP. Is that me? BDP? Did I say BDP? BDP. Who is BDP? I don't know. BDP. I don't, I don't know. I don't know, Savage. But yeah, so those are some of the things people ask me to do. Shout out to my man Chris's. I'm usually in study GRC, helping R Square and them out. They on the road. They don't really need me, so I'm in there usually giving my 2 cents. So that's usually what I do Wednesday and Monday. I used to go in there for probably an hour, a couple hours, and do that. Oh, let's see what my man. I missed that. Does apprenticeship help? Yep, 100%. If you got a apprenticeship, that's definitely experience. We were actually talking about doing it in YouTube and create kind of I wouldn't call them fake companies, but companies where you can actually do them, and we can set them up in AWS, and you can do an assessment, write-ups, gaps, risk assessment, risk exemptions, right? And what does that look like in real life? But now, definitely apprenticeship. An apprenticeship to me is better than an internship because you're usually working with people and getting more. Oh, before the billions, my fault. Yeah, before the billions. I did say B2B. Yeah, BTB. I did say B2B. BTB. I'm slurring. Thanks, casual. Yep, before the billions, the young guy. So, yep, he's always in Atlanta. I might have to go down there and visit him, man. I ain't been in Atlanta probably in a decade. So he's a keynote speaking and stuff. I might have to go down there and get on a plane and check him keynote, man. Like I said, I got to get in a little better shape and get my health a little better before I be jumping on airplanes. But let's say I hang out a little more, see if anybody questions. B2B. He's right. I did say B2B. B2B before the billions. Let's see what R squared. We need to print it. I appreciate it. We need to appreciate you to study our GRC group, PB. I appreciate that. I'll be hanging out with my young guys in there too. Shout out to the Chris's. Shout out to 2R Squares, always in there grinding, doing big things. So I'm usually with the GRC Study Hall. You can definitely check them out on YouTube. So usually see my face up in there. Uh, Let me know, Savage. We can. I probably, if you want to go for the 4,000, I can interview you on my channel, man. So get you a couple more hundred. But yeah, at 4,000 hours grind is brutal, man. That was brutal. Shout out to BTB. What they were doing, I think casual economists remember though. They were supporting each other. They would do 30-hour live streams. It was weird. One time he was on at 9 p.m. and I came on because I couldn't sleep. I ran his channel for like 4 hours. So while he took a nap, right? So, but that, you do 30 hours, they were coming up with like 4, 6, 700 watch hours, man. But I didn't do that. I think I just stayed consistent. I just tried to do maybe 2 hours, but they were doing like 10 hours, man. I think he did 30 hours one time. YouTube told him he couldn't do 30 hours straight anymore. So man, that was at 30 hours, man. Okay, I'm setting my roster, man. I need to start doing some more interviews. I was gonna do you. I was gonna do Gabe. Of course, I got to do Keep It Techie. I was gonna do B2B. Maximilian. Um, I jump on, but the misses at the top. So on one. It's all good, man. I'll be here next week. I'm not going anywhere. Oh, facts. BT, nah, I feel you with that, man. But I was super impressed though. B2B's judge, nah, facts. Yeah, I just kind of pushed mine out. But I thought that was neat because I think he went 30, 20, and like 15, like all in like 6 weeks. It was crazy, but it worked. It worked, man. Oh yeah, shout out to him, man. I always love him because I can tell when he usually shares my videos. So when he shares, I just get about 300 or 400 views, and that helps my hours. Now, keep it techie, he always smiles when I say this. He tells me, I'm telling him, he the first one really interviewed me on YouTube. Who really got me started. I was in his chat just answering some security questions, and he was cool with it. Then he interviewed me, so that's kind of how I met Gabe. That's kind of how I met kind of everybody because Keep It Techie was the first one to kind of now he was the first one to really interview me and just kind of introduce me around YouTube, right, to kind of get me started. Right? So shout out to him. And I love Linux, so we probably do some stuff. Because when I do AWS, the OS I spend up 99% of the time is going to be Amazon 2, which is a fork of Red Hat Linux. So we definitely chop it up over that. So now, yeah, Keep It Techie's up there, man. I've been stuck at 3,000, man. I think YouTube hurt my little feelings, man. But now, like I said, I'm cool with my 3,000. I was hoping to be around 6,000 now, so I'm not trying to get crazy number, but I ain't even close to that. So, but it's about the grind. I think you get to a certain point, then I think YouTube says you're worthy to get pushed out. So, but once again, I got to up my game, up my quality a little more. Like I said, through my membership, I think a lot of people wants me to do a class and a course. So, but it's all good. I appreciate that. But yeah, so if you want to go hard, man, so you can go that 30 out. Now I think they cut it down. You can only, I think B2B says the most you can do. I think he says 18 hours now, or YouTube cuts you off. It's something like that, something crazy. I said if I ever do 5, that'd be crazy. I think the most I've ever done is 3.5. Shout out to Alpha Cyber. The first time he interviewed me on his channel, we did 3 hours straight, man. His wife made him get off, but we were tearing it up, man. He introduced me to a lot, though. Shout out to Alpha Cyber. Now, I'm with you. I'm with you. Like I said, I'm looking at some test questions. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that, man. I figure out what I'm going to do with that. Oh, man. I'm going to go lay my butt down. Like I said, take me a little light quill and give me a little nap in. But I appreciate everybody for joining me. If you need me, ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. Just reach out to me. And like I said, I'm going to probably start interviewing people again. And I might pick me because I think Keep It Tech interviews I think he interviews once a week on Saturday, I think. So I might do once every other Thursday or something. I got to figure that out. I have 11 hours of coding class. I can bot in the comments. That's cool. That's cool. That's a good boy. Put on replay. No, that's cool. You can actually do that in Restream. I've got oh shit. I think this is my normal time. Jim, I try to do Tuesdays at 9, talking about NIST and GRC. So this is my time, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Shout out to my people on the West Coast. Eastern time is usually my time. So that's what I got scheduled. I'm trying to stick to that for a minute. But like I said, I think I'm gonna up it. Shout out to Textual Chatter. His stuff is pretty good. I think he finds people on LinkedIn for his interviews. So his interview game is top notch. I need to set up my stuff a little better. Shout out to Textual Chatter doing it big. He interviewed me on his channel one time though, so shout out to him. Keep the text that he gonna interview me again. So I think I'm gonna do that in 2025. Hopefully, if I can get him to do it early, so that'll kick off my year and kick on my getting back to 4,000 and getting my monetization back. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. But once again, R Squared said it. Where's she at? I'm usually at Study GRC. You can check them out on YouTube. I'm usually there. I think there's Wednesday. Wednesday 7. So I'm usually there a couple times a week. Then I do my channel. Then I'm usually out and about, checking stuff out. Once again, I gotta get my flow up, get my strength up, and get back on that CISP. In case I get fired or something, I might need it. Them remote jobs, I'm blessed to have one, but they're hard to get, man, out here. So got to keep grinding and get one. And it seemed like now I'm going to do a work from home video. I try to do those probably once every 6 months with the Amazon bringing everybody back in. I'm not happy with Amazon. Now, shout out to them. I had to get an interview with them. And I guess I'm glad I didn't get hired. They probably would have been laying me off. But their base package was something like, when I interviewed, it was something like 323. It was something crazy, man. So shout out to Amazon. They probably would have paid me and fired me in a month or something. So that's how big companies treat you sometimes. But once again, I'll hang out for a couple more minutes if anybody got any questions. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a work from home video and do another ageism video. So I gotta put those in the queue. Kind of work from home is kind of like one of my hidden assignments I like doing. So that's part of it. Excuse me, I got to get it together, man. I want to thank everybody for joining me. Check you out on those cyber streets. Once again, if you need me, ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. That's what we went over today. NIST 800-53R5. We focused on the access control family. We kind of hit the top 10. Then we also looked at the architectural diagram. I need to talk a little bit more architectural diagram. What's the security architect, which I work with a lot of them in the past. So I got a little of those. Peace out. I appreciate you. And what does that look like from a GRC perspective, right? Governance, risk, and compliance, right? That's kind of my bailiwick. I keep saying I'm going to go back to engineering, but I don't know. I like being on call. But shout out to compliance engineer, though. So thinking about doing a little bit of that. I'm out. Thanks, everybody, joining me. Everybody have a great hump day.